Hey everyone, I'm Gary of the Elysiums. Welcome to the ranking of one of death metal's probably most accessible bands, Cannibal Corpse. Now before we get in this video, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, like this video. Feel free to share this video and get ready for some gory, fun death metal ranking. So Cannibal Corpse now is starting to get like I don't want to say a bad name, but people are saying they're like the safe commercial death metal. I get where they're coming from. I wouldn't say safe. They said they're almost cartoonish with their lyrics, their imagery, but I don't see it that way. Their lyrics are, still gory, talking about, death and mutilation and just basically just zombie activities. So the name Cannibal Corpse actually describes a zombie, which is really creative. Cannibal Corpse, they were formed in the late 80s in Buffalo, New York, which is a different spot because Florida is kind of like the birthplace of death metal. Down in Florida, we had bands like Morbid Angel, of course, Death themselves, Obituary, all forming this new style, this new genre of metal music, which was heavier, it was more extreme. It kind of built on thrash with more influences, I think, taken from bands like Venom and Possessed. And, I like to call Chuck Schuldiner of Death the godfather of death metal because I feel like he is really the, arguably the creator of death metal. But with that being said, let's get into this ranking. This is a band that, in my opinion, has never released a bad album. They have, their albums have, or I'm sorry, their lineups have rotated through the years. Two members have stayed on every single album. They're steady from the beginning, and that's the incredible bassist Alex Webster, who's his fingers are just magic on that bass, and Paul Mazurkiewicz, the drummer. The guys are in their they're probably in their 60s now, late 50s, nearing 60, and the fact that they're still pushing out this brutal music just shows how great of musicians they are. So with that being said, we have 16 albums total. I should have counted this before this video. 9, 12, 16 albums total. And we're going to rank them, obviously, from my least favorite to my favorite. And again, I don't want to say, like, any of these albums are bad because they're not. They're all incredible in their own way. Just some albums I feel are better and hit you in the face a little more. All right, coming at number 16 is Evisceration Plague. It's kind of hard to see the cover there. Let me pull it out so you can see it. So this was... this is probably their first cover that wasn't really, like, super gory. It was just, kind of like these monster faces. When this came out, I actually remember buying it as a, I think it was a CD-DVD combo. Since then, I've kind of replaced it with just a jewel case set. I'm not really sure what happened to it. Following up the album Kill, which was a huge album, this was sort of a letdown, to be honest with you. I remember buying this when it came out. The only song on here, which I think is absolutely incredible, is Skewered from Ear to Eye. That is my favorite off of this album. Just nothing really stands out. It is produced by Eric Rutan, who we'll talk about him a little later in the albums of Hate Eternal. Yeah, but this album didn't really do much for me. And these are all on Metal Blade Records, obviously, of course. Next up, coming number 15, A Skeletal Domain. Again, the album cover's super cool. Kind of reminds me of Army of Darkness, like that, the fight towards the end with the castle and all that. But not really as gory or, as horror-related as their other albums. This is the Digipack here. 2014 release. The title track I do love, Headlong into Carnage, is great. Bloodstained Cement. But for me, it's just a little long. Nothing really shoots out at me. It's more of just a It's kind of like it's just kind of another Cannibal Corpse record, which I hate to say, but that's how I kind of felt. But at the same time, in 2014, I am glad it came out, and it was a really good album. And, you know, like I said, we still have this great band releasing the albums. All right, coming in at number 14, Red Before Black. We got the cool artwork back again. This is a digipack. This was released in 2017, right? 2017. So this is actually the last album to feature guitarist Pat O'Brien, who unfortunately, not sure if he's still in prison, but he there was an incident where he like robbed his neighbor, and it was found with all these guns and like really high, and I don't know what happened, because Pat was just an incredible guitarist. He's with him and Rob Barrett, they were my favorite guitar duo of Cannibal Corpse. I mean, the guy was just like, he just had this long straight brown hair. His neck was just huge from headbanging. His arms were huge from just shredding. I just I don't know what went on with him, and I don't know why he did that, but hopefully he gets himself straightened out and is back. And if he's not back in Cannibal Corpse, he's back in some other, you know, death metal band, just putting great music out there again. But yeah, back to this album. Head Shoveled Off is an incredible song. Only One Will Die, which opens it's incredible, right into the title track. Good stuff here. Like I said, 2017 release with the rest of Pat O'Brien shortly after this album. We are kind of unsure of what Cannibal Corpse we're going to do. All right, where are we at now? We are at number 13. 1998's Gallery of Suicide. So this was the second album that featured George Corpse Grinder Fisher. I believe his first album that came out was incredible. I do like it a lot. The first album with George Corpse Grinder. This follow-up, though, I feel like was a little more of a letdown. There are some great tracks on here. I hope I don't get banned for saying these names of these songs and showing these albums on YouTube. But some of the songs, this album opens up pretty strong, I feel like, with I Will Kill You, Disposal of Body, Blood Drenched Execution, the title track, Dismembered and Molested. Don't cancel me. From Skin to Liquid is absolutely incredible. But then it kind of falls off. Unite the Dead, Stabbed in the Throat, Headless, Every Bone Broken. With 14 tracks, just a little long. There's the back cover there. The back cover actually is the censored cover of this cover here. So kids, if you're looking to get into Cannibal Corpse and your parents don't want you to have these covers, they do release a lot of censored covers. The music isn't censored, but the covers are. All right, coming number 12. Chaos Horrific. This is the latest album from Cannibal Corpse. This came out in 2023. Featuring the guitar tandem of Rob Barrett and Eric Rutan. Eric Rutan of Hate Eternal not only produced the album, but he joined on as guitarist after the arrest of Pat O'Brien. This was just great. Just smoking heavy death metal from Cannibal Corpse, like only Cannibal Corpse can do. Excuse me. Title track just hits it out of the park. Frenzied Feeding is amazing. Summon for Sacrifice. Fracture, Refractures. It's okay. I don't really like that song too much. Pitchfork Impalement's great. Overlords of Violence, which opens up, is a really good song. Oh yeah, there we go. There's some cool pictures of the band there. And this is cool too. You kind of have all their sponsors of the instruments that they play. Coming in at number 11, this is Bloodthirst. This was released in 1999, right? Yeah, 99. So this followed up Gallery of Suicide right afterwards. I feel like this should have been the album to follow Vile, because this one, in my opinion, is better than Gallery of Suicide. Pound in the Dust, Dead Human Collection, great tracks off of here. Unleashing the Bloodthirsty, Hacksaw Decapitation, really cool stuff there. But this time, I feel like we really have the band in full there. As you can see, with Corpse Grinder really starting to fit in. We have the guitar duo of Pat O'Brien and Jack Owen now. Jack Owen, one of the founding members, along with Alex Webster and Paul Mazurkowitz. Like I said, very strong album. Excuse me. Never really liked the cover, though. It's just odd. Like, they're like insect legs or something on that creature, and he's decapitating someone. I don't know. It's just a little weird. All right. We are now at... I keep losing track of where I'm at. We're at number 10. That's what I thought. Number 10. This is actually the only album that I have the censored cover of. I need to obviously replace that. Reason I have it is because this is a CD/DVD combo. It's a bonus DVD, which is a making of the album. Super cool. Just a solid album overall. I don't really think there's a song that's bad on here or boring. It's just nothing really stands out to be great songs. Excuse me. Ooh. But there's just really cool stuff on here, like Severed Head Stoning, Psychotic Precision, the title track, Frantic Disembowelment. I digress. Frantic Disembowelment is a really great track off of here. Festering in the Crypt, Blunt Force Castration, Nothing Left to Mutilate. Again, 13 tracks. Cool picture of the guy there. And like I said, this is a double album. Oh. With the DVD, which actually features a making of the album, which is super cool. But like I said, I do, if I ever come across it, the uncensored cover, I'm definitely going to have to grab that, because this is the only Cannibal Corpse album that's censored for me. All right, we are now into 9. The debut album, Eaten Back to Life. Iconic cover when it comes to death metal. That is one of the covers that is just absolutely iconic. And the reason this comes in at 9 is not that it's a bad album, but to me, it's a little more thrashier. They are obviously Cannibal Corpse, but not the Cannibal Corpse that we would begin to really know and love. They're a brand new band on the scene. I just don't think this holds up as well as the other debut albums by, the big death metal bands like, Death with Scream Bloody Gore, or Morbid Angel with Odors of Madness, or Obituary with Slowly We Rot. This, in my opinion, is more thrashy with, screechy death vocals over it. Again, you could argue me with that one. But like I said, just iconic album, and the names are just iconic too when it comes to death metal. Shredded Humans, Edible Autopsy, Put Them to Death, Mangled, Scattered Remains, Splattered Brains, excuse me. The Undead Will Feast, and of course, it's got a skull full of maggots on here, which is definitely the standout track off of this. Excuse me, I don't know why I keep coughing. But this features the original lineup of Chris Barnes on vocals, Alex Webster on bass, Paul Mazurkowitz on drums, Bob Rousset on guitars, along with Jack Owen on guitar. That was the original lineup, again released in 1990. Band out of Buffalo, New York, produced by Scott Burns. They went down to Mars Sound Studios in Florida to record this album. And, that's the iconic first artwork we have there from Mr. Vincent Locke. Coming number 8 is Torture. This was released in, 2014? 2012. 2012 release, very strong album. Really cool album. It's got Scourge of Iron on it, which is absolutely incredible. One of my favorite tracks from Cannibal Corpse. I mean, Pat O'Brien and Barrett are just ripping on that. Demented Aggression. What else is cool? As Deep as Knife Will Go. That's a really good song. And the end, Torn Through. The last song is really cool. So with this, we're going to open this up. So that's the actual cover, and it has this slipcase here, which I think is pretty cool, because when this first came out, I remember seeing it, and I was like, I think there was a censor cover, and then there was this one, and I was like, I know something's hidden beneath that slipcase there. All right, coming in at, we are now at what, number 7. Violence Unimagined. All right, now I should say, this is, believe it or not, the censored cover, so I do actually own two censored covers. The original cover of this features like a naked zombie woman holding two like dead babies in her hands. Um, that was like, I never saw that in stores when it came out, but it was available for pre-order and like it sold out immediately. So this was the cover that I was able to find. I was okay with it. I'm not like this is still a cool cover. Oh yeah, there's a picture of her on the disc there. So on the actual cover, she's like naked holding the babies, but I'm not really into like, oh, well, we can kind of show it on the booklet there. I'm not really into cartoon. I'm into naked women, but not cartoon naked women. So, especially bloody ones. So it didn't matter to me. But yeah, man, wow, what a strong album. 2021 release. This was Cannibal Corpse back after 4 years without Pat O'Brien. First album featuring Eric Rutan on guitar. Also produces this album, but just wow. When this came out, it was just super, super good. I could not believe how good this album was. And I remember going to a local CD shop, and he was like, dude, did you hear the new Cannibal Corpse? And I was like, yeah, I already got it. He was like, absolutely incredible. I was like, I agree. It's great. Murderous Rampage, which opens up into Necrogenic Resurrection, Inhumane Harvest, Condemnation, Contagion, Surround, Kill, Devour. That was one song I played a lot when this first came out. Follow the Blood, Slowly Sawn, Bound and Burned. Really, really strong record. All right, coming at number 6, Gore Obsessed. This was a 2002 release. The reason this is so high, when this came out, this kind of came out as nu metal was, hugely popular, but starting to maybe decline. And most of us metalheads have kind of had it with nu metal, and we were ready to just listen to our metal. And this was an album that was, I remember being advertised a lot in the magazines of the day, like Revolver and Hit Parader. And the cover, I mean, the artwork of this cover is just actually absolutely incredible. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick that album out. I do like Cannibal Corpse, and I've been listening to too much nu metal, and I kind of want to get back to heavier and louder and faster and more aggressive. And this album did not disappoint. In my opinion, it has some of Pat O'Brien's best guitar work on it. And, Jack Owen's on there. Unfortunately, this would end up being Jack Owen's last album. I believe this was Jack Owen's last album. Don't correct me, because I'm going to correct myself later if I'm wrong. But just absolutely incredible. Hatchet to the Head, absolutely amazing. Pit of Zombies, Drowning in Viscera, Grotesque, When Death Replaces Life. Super cool album. Love this album so much. All right, coming in at these top 5 are going to be, they could be controversial. They could not be controversial. But again, this is my ranking. And this is how I feel. Excuse me, yes. That is the last album to feature, or was it The Wretched Spawn? I'm just going to double check myself real quick. The Wretched Spawn was the last album to feature Jack Owen on guitar. More about that soon. All right, coming in at number 5. This is a sophomore album, the follow-up to Eaten Back to Life. This is Butchered at Birth. Again, an iconic cover. This is one of those just Cannibal Corpse photos you see everywhere. They're on t-shirts. Again, it was very controversial when it came out. But really good album. Absolutely incredible. Way different than the debut. This features Chris Barnes debuting a new death metal vocal style where he's almost like mumble growling. Kind of where like that term Cookie Monster vocals comes from. I feel like this is the album where he totally changed. If you listen to the albums back to back, you would think they replaced the singer, but it's still Chris Barnes on vocals. Meat Hook Sodomy, Gut It, Living Dissection, Under the Rotted Flesh, cover with sores, absolutely incredible. Of course, Vomit the Soul, and the title track. Now, the one thing about this album is you can't sing along to it. You can like not even hear what Chris Barnes is like singing or growling. So it's more of that The music is incredible. The hooks are incredible. The solos are great. Bob Rousse's solos are a little sloppy, but Jack Owen is super tight on this album. And of course, the rhythm section of the great Paul Mazurkiewicz and Alex Webster. Coming at number 4, Kill. This is an amazing album with Corpse Grinder. This is one of Cannibal Corpse's most aggressive and heaviest albums, in my opinion. The cover art is not this. It's not gory. It's not monsters. It's not zombies. It's very tame for the band, but just the fact that it just says a kill across the front like that makes a statement itself. I feel like it's similar to like the Beatles' White Album. Like with all their psychedelic covers following up to just a plain white, it like stands out. I know it's just plain white, but it stands out. Just like this, it's just the word kill. It just stands out, and you're like, it interests you. It draws you in. The time to kill is now. Make them suffer. I mean, Corpse Grinder sounds like he's like vomiting blood on some of these songs. Like I don't know how he could sing some of this stuff with his throat. Murder Worship, Necrosadistic Warning, 5 Nails Through the Neck is great, but you probably wouldn't get them through Corpse Grinder's neck. Death Walking Terror, Brain Removal Device, Maniacal, Infinite Misery, just great stuff. Again, produced by Eric Rutan for Metal Blade Records. Awesome album. And here is so this artwork, this was actually featured a lot on t-shirts for this album and the tour and stuff. I remember that being a big thing when this album came out. But yeah, 2006 release from Cannibal Corpse. Absolutely incredible. Coming number 3, this is definitely going to be controversial. Vile. This is the debut of George Corpse Grinder Fisher. A lot of people don't think it's a good album. They kind of see it as the downfall of Cannibal Corpse. I don't. Yes, I love Chris Barnes' era, but I mean, this George has been in the band for 31 years now, so he or 30 years, I think it is. He's the band. He's the singer. You're not going anywhere, and he's iconic. I mean, everyone knows who he is at this point. Devoured by Vermin, Mummified and Barbed Wire, Perverse Suffering, Disfigured, Puncture Wound Massacre. They're just all iconic to me. I remember this was actually the first Cannibal Corpse album I actually bought with my own money. And it did not disappoint, because I've heard the other Cannibal Corpse stuff with Chris Barnes. This is my intro to Corpse Grinder, and it was incredible. I love it. So maybe it has more of a special place in my heart. And here's the censored cover inside because of that. But coming number 3 is Vile. I know. That's my pick. All right, coming in at number 2. These 1 and 2 could rotate from time to time, but I think I know why I picked number 1 to be 1. Tomb of the Mutilated, coming in number 2. Just nasty artwork there. There's like a dead zombie guy that's half his body is missing his legs, going down on a dead zombie girl, just blood. It's like, how do these guys get away with stuff? Features Hammered Smashed Face, probably their most popular song. I Come Blood, Addicted to Vaginal Skin. Like, no wonder the PMRC were after these guys and had this big parental advisory sticker slapped on it. Necro Pedophile, it's insane how they were able to get away with this. Post-mortal ejaculation, and here it comes. Entrails ripped from a virgin's cunt. Yep, I'm reading the names of titles. Incredible album. This album definitely put Cannibal Corpse at the forefront of death metal at the time. I mean, and what a time, man. This was like 1992. You had this released. You had Human from Death. Entombed is around. I mean, there's just such great death metal going on right now. Covenant from Morbid Angel that came out in 93, I think. But just a really good time for death metal. And this was this was one of the albums. This is the album that made people take notice, and the follow up to this would make them an even bigger band and even more household name. But yeah, coming number 2, Tomb of the Mutilated, incredible album. All right, coming at number 1. You probably figured it out by process of elimination. 1994's The Bleeding. Absolutely incredible. I'm starting to debate it now, but for basically most of my life, I said this is the greatest death metal album of all time. I think I'm just replacing that as the greatest death metal album of all time, but I'm still keeping it as Cannibal Corpse greatest album. Turns out it's actually the last album to feature Chris Barnes on vocals, and the first album to have Rob Barrett, who replaced Bob Rousset. So I should say, Tomb of the Mutilated technically did not feature Bob Rousset. He was in the band at the time when this came out, but unfortunately, the band was progressing. They're getting tighter. They're getting stronger as musicians. Jack Owen was so tight that he recorded all the guitar parts on here, and Bob Rousset was definitely hurt by it, and unfortunately they fired the guy just because he wasn't keeping up with the band, and his solos were a little sloppy at the time, but he is one of the inventors of death metal guitar, so we can't discount him out. Unfortunately, the guy just quit music altogether after he was fired from the band, and there's not really much known of him since then, unfortunately. But they went out and got this guy named Rob Barrett. He played in a few bands. He played in Solstice and Melvin Creation before coming on for The Bleeding. Yeah, just an incredible album. And I remember this. So this is an import. It's not the original album, because you could tell by the way Cannibal Corpse is written, it's not the original logo. But I remember it just saying, like, this being covered as a kid, that you couldn't really even see the names of the songs. Probably because you have names like Staring Through the Eyes of the Dead, Fucked with a Knife, Stripped, Raped, and Strangled, which I feel like is one of their most sing-along songs, as demented as that sounds. Return to Flesh, amazing. Pulverized, The Pickaxe Murders, She Was Asking For It, the title track, obviously. Force-Fed, Broken Glass, and finally An Experiment in Homicide. Just incredible. Like I said, Chris Barnes would leave the band after this album and form his own band called 6 Feet Under. He just wanted to go a different way, and they weren't collaborating and agreeing on much, the band and Chris. 6 Feet Under, I don't think ever got close to matching the fame or the musicianship of Cannibal Corpse. Still a death metal band that I like and I do listen to, but nowhere close to Cannibal Corpse. And even this this is supposed to be like a band cover. I think it was like there was a digipack remastered version I own also, which has like these people inside, and it's supposed to be like a zooming up on a guy's wound or something. That's what that cover is, but I don't know, it kind of looks like a vagina. But man, this is the album that put the band on the map, made them a household name. They were obviously not played on radio, but they were featured in the Ace Ventura movie, the first one, when Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, when he goes into that club. I think, was it Bumblebee Tuna or something like that? I don't know. I forget what he says. And no, that's the second one. Forget what I'm saying. Anyway, but when he goes in a club to see the one guy to get some more information, he actually goes through this club with a band playing, and there's just headbanging. And I didn't know who the band was at the time, because when it came out in '94, and I was still I was like 9, so I didn't really know that much about death metal yet. Yeah, it turns out it was Cannibal Corpse. So they're in a major movie by probably the biggest comedian of the 90s, Jim Carrey. And they also get a mention in politics. I believe Bob Dole mentioned Cannibal Corpse as one of the bands, along with a couple different rap groups that were kind of corrupting the children, as they like to say. But yeah, number 1 for me, The Bleeding. Great, great album. For further listening, I do have a couple EPs. We got the Hammer Smashed Face EP. This is an import, that's why it looks a little different. The original of this is like ridiculously expensive, which is why I don't have it, or I wouldn't buy it. Features 2 covers on here. Features The Exorcist from Possessed and Zero the Hero, which was off of Born Again by Black Sabbath. That was when Ian Gillan was singing with the band. We also have Worm Infested, another G-rated cover. 6 tracks on here. There is a cover on here again, No Remorse from Metallica. And then we have Live Cannibalism. This is the live one. Really good stuff. All featuring George Corpse Grinder Fisher from 2000. There is another live album they put out. I don't own it, though. I can't remember the name of it. But this is cool. This is 18 tracks, and you get a nice rundown. It's kind of like a greatest hits, per se, of Cannibal Corpse, released in 2000. And this is the album that I think like really cemented Corpse Grinder with the fans. Like, all right, he's our guy if they're hearing him live and seeing him live. And in addition to that, there's also a box set out there, which is really good. And then if you look it up on YouTube, I think it's in 2 parts. What's it called? Centuries of Torment, I believe. I don't know. It's a Cannibal Corpse documentary. I've seen it 3 or 4 times, and I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. It is no longer in print, but if you can find it on DVD, I do have it on DVD. It's great. I think it's called Centuries of Torment. But yeah, look it up on YouTube. I'll drop the link here. Definitely watch that. Even if you're not a Cannibal Corpse fan yet, once you watch that video, you'll see how cool the guys are and how humble. And that's what really, really made me fall in love with the band after watching that documentary. You know, I was a fan of their music, but that documentary made me like be like, oh, I like this band a lot. They're good dudes. All right, everyone. I'm gonna thank you all for watching, especially if you stuck all the way through this. Well, we're over a half hour. Sorry for going so long, but Cannibal Corpse, one of my favorite death metal bands. Absolutely love them. All right, everyone. I will see you next video. As always, drop in the comments your ranking. Appreciate it. Take care.